As Anna stepped through the grand entrance of the mansion, she was instantly surrounded by opulence and splendor. The towering double doors, intricately adorned with gold leaf designs, opened to reveal a foyer that seemed straight out of a bygone era. The marble floor beneath her feet gleamed with a polished sheen, reflecting the twinkle of crystal chandeliers that hung above the crowd like some fancy celestial orbs. Rich velvet curtains in richest emerald and burgundy framed the windows, their sumptuous textures adding to the feeling of grandeur. In the main hall, she was greeted by further expanse of luxurious fineness. The ceiling soared impossibly high above, supported by gilded columns that seemed to reach for the heavens. The space was a showcase of period-specific Art Deco elegance with geometric patterns and saturated, jewel-toned colors, flowing seamlessly weaving with the lavish decor. Rows of tables, each covered with impeccably white linen, were set with golden cutlery, fine china, and crystal glassware that caught and reflected the soft light in a dazzling sparkles. Variety of fresh flowers, vibrant and exotic, were arranged in tall vases, their colors and gentle aroma providing a perfect complement to the grandiose interior. At the far end of the hall, the stage was set with a flair of dramatic anticipation. It was a masterful replica of a 1920s theater, complete with lush long curtains and an elaborate proscenium arch. The backdrop was a sumptuous depiction of a roaring 20s speakeasy, with its bold furnishings and atmospheric lighting creating an air of mystery and excitement. Bright, dramatic lighting bathed the stage, heightening the sense of intrigue. The guests, dressed to impress in period costumes, added their own touch of glamour to the evening. Women slid by importantly in shimmering flapper dresses, their sequins catching the light as they moved through the space. Men, clad in tailored suits and fedoras, exuded an air of sophisticated charm. The public, engaged in lively conversation that was punctuated by bursts of laughter, vacillated between the small groups throughout the grand hall. The ambiance was a heady mix of anticipation and elegance. The scent of expensive perfumes competed with the subtle aroma of gourmet hors d'oeuvres, each vying for dominance as impeccably dressed waitstaff moved gracefully in their rehearsed trajectories. The strains of jazz music curled playfully in the background, adding a fitting rhythmic backdrop to the evening's festivities. Beneath the surface of this seemingly perfect party lay hidden rooms and secret passages, cleverly concealed to enhance the mystery of the night. Accessed through discreetly disguised doors or sliding panels, these secret spaces added an element of surprise and intrigue to the upcoming performance. As Anna wandered through the mansion, she was fully immersed in this unique experience, her curiosity piqued by the unfolding drama and the hidden secrets that lay just beyond sight. Her role in the performance was a housemaid. Her transformation was both subtle and effective. She wore a classic 1920s maid uniform, tailored to fit her frame with elegant simplicity. The dress was a deep navy blue, with a fitted bodice and a flared skirt that reached just below her knees. The skirt was adorned with a row of delicate white buttons, adding a touch of formality to the outfit. A crisp white apron, neatly tied at the waist, completed the look, its crisp fabric contrasting pleasantly with the navy of the uniform. Her head was adorned with a traditional white maid's cap that was framed by a neat band of white lace, adding a touch of refinement to the otherwise practical garment. Her dark hair was pulled back into a tidy bun, ensuring that not a strand was out of place. The look was completed with white gloves and a pair of black polished Mary Janes that clicked softly on the marble floors as she walked. Despite the practical nature of her outfit, Anna moved with grace and confidence, feeling not a bit less elegant than any other woman around her. Her posture was straight and poised, and her every movement was in tone with her role, embodying a housemaid with solid competence. As she navigated the crowd, her appearance was both inconspicuous and fitting for the lavish setting. allowing her to blend in with the event's theatrical ambiance while remaining vigilant for any clues related to her mission. She stopped and scanned the hall, her gaze sweeping over the glittering crowd of wealthy elite. The atmosphere was electric, filled with the imposing allure of a lavish gala where classical music drifted through the air and guests mingled in their extravagant costumes. She adjusted her housemaid outfit and decided to take a seat at one of the tables. She continued to survey the room when her eyes fell upon a man in a dark, fitted suit. He was wearing a clumsy-looking monocle and an adorable faux goatee. He moved erratically, looking lost and confused, which drew the attention of those around him. Anna's pulse quickened. This had to be the man Darius described, the target she needed to find. To her astonishment, as the man looked around the room, his gaze locked onto hers. In that fleeting moment, Anna felt a jolt of recognition. His eyes held a smart look of recognition, as if he had seen her before and had placed her somehow. Without hesitation, he adjusted his course, walking directly toward a table adjacent to hers. He settled into the nearby seat with an air of accomplishment and meaningfully glanced again at Anna in her maid suit. It was clear from his expression that he had chosen the table next to her deliberately. The look in his eyes was not menacing, but absolutely certain. He had noticed her presence and seemed to be making a strategic move. Anna tried not to look at him. The unexpected proximity placed her in an awkward and potentially dangerous position. The man's presence so close to her meant she would have to act with utmost caution. He was so near that she could hear the soft rustle of his expensive suit as he shifted in his seat and the low murmur of his conversations with other guests. With a forced calm, Anna adjusted her posture and focused on the enveloping theatrical action. She subtly adjusted her position to ensure she had a clear peripheral line of sight of the man, while simultaneously remaining as inconspicuous as possible. Her eye occasionally drifted towards her target, a hint of recognition still lingering in his eyes every time he turned to her. Anna prepared for her next move. Eliminate the target. She knew that security protocols in the palace prohibited weapons, so she deftly came up with a different plan. In her apron's pocket, hidden beneath a layer of elegant fabric, was a small vial of poisonous powder. The substance was finely ground, once dissolved nearly invisible to the naked eye, and designed to induce a swift and silent demise. Her fingers lightly brushed against the vial's surface as she considered her approach. The moment of opportunity arrived as the show progressed. The spectacle's ringleader, following the unfolding scenario, directed her to act out her role as a maid and to pretend to be dusting other guests' tables. Anna moved gracefully to the nearby table, her heart pounding with anticipation and anxiety. The man she was after glanced up, his eyes locking onto hers with the same flicker of recognition that made her pulse quicken again. "He knows me," she thought, a cold shiver running down her spine. The man leaned forward, attempting to whisper something into her ear. His voice was a soft murmur, barely audible over the clamor of the performance. Anna's breath caught in her throat. She had to act now. She bent lower, bringing her ear closer to his lips, pretending to try to catch his words. The man's glass, a delicate crystal flute filled with a shimmering champagne, was momentarily unattended as he too leaned closer towards her. Seizing the opportune moment, Anna subtly retrieved the vial from her pocket. With a steady hand, covering her maneuver with the duster, she let a small amount of the powder drift into the man's drink. The poison dissolved almost immediately, vanishing into the golden liquid without a trace. The thrill of the act coursed through her, as she kept her gaze fixed on the man's face. He finished his whispered comment and leaned back, searching her face for a reaction. Anna managed a mild, innocent smile. She adjusted her duster with a casual flick and maintained her innocuous facade. The poisoned drink now sat in front of him, a silent, lethal trap that would soon unravel the man's fate. To Anna's surprise, the man's eyes stayed on her with an increasing intensity, They didn't leave her face for a second, clearly expecting something from her. Anna's pulse quickened, her nerves on edge as she tried to hold on to her composed demeanor. She turned around and moved on to the next table, trying not to look back. Finally, the man with faux goatee rose from his seat, holding his drink with a firm grip. Anna's heart stopped as she saw him walking straight towards her with a quickened step. His eyes, locked onto hers, seemed to convey an important message. The glass, filled with golden liquid, glistened ominously in his hand under the light of the dozens of chandeliers. Anna forced herself to remain calm. The moment stretched into eternity as he bridged the distance between them. When he finally stopped in front of her, his expression was inscrutable, yet charged with urgency. "Anna, I need to talk to you. What is happening?" His voice was a confidential whisper, his gaze inquisitive. "How is Evelyn?" The question caught her off guard. She had prepared herself for an encounter with a high-ranking consortium member, not for a casual personal query about Evelyn. However, the concern in his tone seemed genuine, albeit it was at odds with her expectations. She didn't have time to analyze this conundrum, because the bizarre man, without waiting for a response, gestured for her to follow him. "Come with me," he urged with an earnest plea in his voice. Intrigued by this mysterious turn of events and apprehensive, Anna complied without an objection, and followed him through the ornate halls, their footsteps echoing softly on the polished marble floors as they made their way to a secluded room on the second floor. Upon reaching their destination, the man opened the large carved doors and stepped inside. The room was adorned with antique decor. A large desk dominated the space, and the walls were lined with rich, dark wood paneling. Anna walked in cautiously after him, her gaze sweeping the room while keeping a wary eye on her companion. He placed his drink on the desk, the glass making a soft clink as it settled. He then closed the doors behind them, the click of the latch echoing loudly in the hushed space. Turning to face Anna, his features were full of urgency and guarded concern. He motioned to a pair of elegant padded chairs near the desk. "Please take a seat," he offered, but she remained standing for a moment. The unexpected concern for Evelyn was a twist she hadn't anticipated, and she struggled to reconcile it with her mission. Nevertheless, at last she took a seat across from him, her expression schooled in a mask of neutral coolness as she prepared for what was to come. "I must ask," the man began, his voice laden with genuine concern, "why didn't you come to our first meeting? I was worried about you. How is Evelyn doing? When will I be able to meet her?" Anna's mind scattered as she listened to these questions. He knows her name, knows about the meeting, and the queries about Evelyn were getting unsettlingly specific. She struggled to comprehend how this man could be so informed about Evelyn's situation and their plans. "Who are you?" She started to nervously fiddle with the feathery duster in her hands, and her voice trembled slightly with shock. "How do you know so much about Evelyn? Why are you asking me these questions?" "What do you mean? I am Darius, Evelyn's fiancé," the man exclaimed, surprised by her questions. He rose from his seat and with deliberate movements began to remove the disguise. Anna watched in disbelief as he peeled away the beard and wig, removed the golden monocle, and wiped some makeup with a napkin, revealing a face she had seen before. The man before her was Darius, but his appearance was slightly different from the other Darius she had encountered at the Bailorbai Palace. His face, usually sharp and calculating, was now soft, filled with profound sadness and vulnerability. He also looked much older than she expected, probably the consequences of constant stress and long nights of work. His eyes reflected a lost and weary soul, haunted by memories and regret. "Darius?" Anna's voice wavered between astonishment and confusion. "But how? Why are you—" She had been led to believe that the man she was targeting, a high-ranking member of the consortium orchestrating the bioweapon attack, was actually Darius. Her confusion gave way to horror and empathy as she realized the gravity of the situation. The man she had targeted, under the false impression he was a key player in a sinister plot, was the person she had been assigned to protect. Wait, Anna said, her mind reeling. She felt nauseous. You're not the man I thought you were. I believed you were a key figure in the Consortium's bioweapon attack. But then who is the other Darius? Another Darius? The man echoed, his voice cracking slightly. Tell me more. Anna recounted her encounter with the man she had been led to believe was Darius. How he had instructed her to kill the real Darius under made-up pretenses. The real Darius listened with a haunted look in his eyes. I think I know the man you're talking about, he uttered with desolation and sat back in a chair, rubbing tiredly his face with his arms. His name is Jessup. He is my younger brother. We were once the best of friends, bound by vow of loyalty to each other since our childhood. He persuaded me to join the consortium where I worked as a lead scientist. When I discovered the true nature of my work, I wanted out. That's when I met Evelyn. Jessup was infatuated with her, but she chose me, and we fell in love. Jessup couldn't accept this. We had a falling out right before I left the consortium. He vowed revenge and severed our friendship. He's dangerous, and he's clearly following through on his threats. I need to protect Evelyn and help you take down the consortium as soon as possible. As Darius spoke, his melancholy mood gradually slipped away and escalated to protective, righteous energy. He was now pacing back and forth in front of the table while actively gesticulating. As he uttered the last words, he erupted in a dry cough, seemingly exhausted by his verbal outburst. He leaned on the table for support, and it was then that he noticed the poisoned drink still sitting there. Abruptly, before Anna could scream her warning, he extended his hand, grabbed the flute, and gulped it down in one swift motion, trying to assuage the discomfort in his throat. The world seemed to be moving like in a slow motion. Anna outstretched her arms, her heart pounding like a war drum in her chest. She opened her mouth to warn him, to scream his name, but the words tangled in her throat, paralyzed by sheer terror. No! Her scream never left her lips. It died there, buried beneath the horror that washed over her face. It was too late. He drank it all. Darius lowered the glass. Confusion rose in his eyes. The color slowly drained from his skin, turning him an unnatural shade of ashen white. His hand flew to his throat. Eyes were now wide with realization as his body flared up in a deadly agony. He looked at Anna with helpless, questioning eyes, as if pleading and asking at the same time. The glass slipped from his fingers, hitting the floor just when his knees buckled beneath him. His body slammed into the ground with a sickening thud, limbs jerking in violent, chaotic spasms. Anna could only stare, frozen in place, struggling with the terrible, inevitable truth. This was her fault. She had done this. How did she not think of taking the drink away from him? Her vision got blurred with tears as she watched his final convulsions subside, replaced by a motionless, stiff pose. The poison was prompt, ruthless in its effect, and there was no going back now.
This is the end of this chapter. Thank you very much for listening. Please, let me know in the comments what would you like to see further in the story? What do you think of the characters? What was the most interesting thing for you about this part of the story? I would love to hear your opinion and feedback.